generally described as innovative, hardworking risk takers, as reported by the Partnership for the American Economy. Immigrant entrepreneurs started 28% of all new businesses last year, referring to 2011. Immigrant entrepreneurs also were twice as likely to start a new business when compared to those born in the United States. The creation of new businesses is particularly noteworthy because it's cited by the Kauffman Foundation for Entrepreneurship. It's new business that drives job growth. So today at OCTC, we're excited to welcome entrepreneur Armando Ortiz, creator and owner of the Real Hacienda Restaurants. So I'd like to give a good welcome to our guest.
First of all, thank you for having me here. Thank you for college. I will try to speak as loud as possible. I hope you can hear me. Buenos días. I hope you take a Spanish class.
We are today.
Okay, so we can learn in Spanish. Well, first of all, again, thank you for having me and thank you for being here. I hope my experience help you to understand what is the situation with a lot of us immigrants to the United States, how we push harder to move forward and to keep going. There is an exceptional opportunity for me when I was here, when I came over here, different than most of the immigrant, because when we say immigrant, we think that a lot of people that just cross the border or came on a different way. In my case, it was a little different because back then, I was in Mexico back in 1995. I was after I graduated from college, I went to journalism school. I got a degree on journalism. So I was working on radio stations and newspapers, actually. And I was working for the Universidad de Guadalajara, University of Guadalajara, on the communication room. So I was working there, and I remember back then, public universities, they didn't offer journalism as a career. So you had to go to a private university to take the class and graduate from it. So back then, my family business, for my parents, in Mexico, it's a little bit different than the United States. Over here, a lot of families, I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of families, they just can't wait till the children get 18 and move them out of the house. Over there it's different. You can wait until they turn 18 to hold them closer to the house. Families, they are so close together. Everything is around the family. So back then, again, the economy on our household, it wasn't doing very well. And I remember how much trouble my parents had to help me pay for that tuition because I was going to the private school. I was working at a radio station and a newspaper again, as I say. And one day, my father approached us. By the way, I'm part of the 16-member family. Children, my dad has 16 children. Don't ask me. I don't know, 16. 13 of us alive. He married, and then he has 3 children. His first wife, which she died alive in a stroke. Then he met my mom, and then we are 13 with my mom. So he had us together, 4 boys. I remember back then. It was one of those when I was off. One of those days. It was my hometown is 2 hours from where I was working, Guadalajara. Guadalajara is the second largest city in Mexico. About 7 million people on the population. So huge city. So back there, he said, well, I would like to talk to you all. 4 boys, and we were there. The rest are girls. So we were outnumbered. And here, I remember he told us that he has an opportunity to acquire a running business here in the United States. There was in Tennessee, Fayetteville, Tennessee, a small town by the Alabama border, north of Huntsville. That business was run by his brother-in-law, or his first wife's brother. And I remember he said that who would like to jump on board to help him, you know. He was talking to him about exchanging a farm, about 120 acres farm with cattle, tractors, and all the running business for a small restaurant, about 90 seating capacity, 90 people. Poor managed, hard to say, but it was poor managed, deteriorating, old building, dirty, we can say. So I jumped in because I remember how hard it was for them to help me to pay the college expenses. And I know a lot of you all go through the same thing, and you might not have the same opportunity to move to another places, or you might have to stay around here. But you know what? When I took a chance to take it, I didn't think twice. When he said, "Will you do it?" I'll do it. I was thinking about. He was explaining me for what the previous owner of the restaurant said. He would say, "Well, if you invest." It was about $50,000 worth on the restaurant. The farm cost more than that, but back then, Mexico's economy was so bad that you can sell $1 for a penny. I mean, nobody wants to buy it because the depreciation was higher and higher and higher, so you don't want to invest any money because most likely you're going to be losing money. And I say, well, I'll do it. I say, for base of what he told us, he said maybe about a year and a half, you might help us and we get on track and you can come back and back to your work, you know. By the way, but back then I was the only one on my family. I was the number 11 on my family. I was the only one that went to college. So everyone else was working in the household, or they got married, or they were doing something else, but I was the only one that had the opportunity and the privilege to go into college. So he specifically talked to me and he said, maybe around 18 months, year and a half, you can come back and, you know, if the other wants to stay there helping, that would be great, but for you, that way you don't lose your opportunity and your chances and keep working and growing professionally. He said, I mean, you can come back. So that was in 1995. So 18 months becomes 18 years, and here I am. I came I remember it was a Memorial Day weekend. When I came, so everything was shut down. Never been on the United States before. I flew into Dallas, and from Dallas to Nashville. So I was amazed by everything. You know, I mean, everything green. In Mexico, we have a green. Where I live, we don't have a lot of grass. And you see a grass, I mean, everybody wants to step on it just to see how it feels. In the park, in my hometown, there's on the square, there's an area, grass area. I mean, they have a fence. That way, nobody can get in there. I mean, literally, that's the way it is. But it's, I mean, I was amazed, and I'm still amazed all the technology and all the advances of the United States, which is weird. I mean, no wonder it's #1 country on the world on every reason, you know. So anyway, once I saw how I made it, I got to work in the restaurant of my father, and I got there, and I got the best job. I was a manager on the dishwasher machine. So I mean, you have to learn the business from the bottom. So I was operating a dishwasher, and that's how you start. from the bottom. That way, I mean, there is no way I could have been waiting tables when I didn't even knew the language. You know, back then, you go to school. In Mexico, they give you English classes, and all you learn is the ABCs. Good morning, teacher. You know, some of that. You know how it starts. You speak Spanish, and you do it on the opposite. And, you know, you stand up, sit down, and numbers, of course, and the number one, you have to say after all this is, may I go to the bathroom? So that's basically, you know, I know you teach the same thing, ¿dónde está el baño for the guys? So that's just, I mean, then after that, you start developing everything else. It helped me a lot because since back then, everything you bought, everything, it has a Spanish and English directions or instructions. So I remember back then, as I told you, I work on radio, and between songs, and I work on the night shift. I mean, you have plenty of time to kill. So you read everything, and I always try to compare. So I learned how to read the English before I could speak it. And I still have problems. I learn something new every day. So it helped me a lot. When I came here, you know, I had that fear to not say properly what I was supposed to say. And from Fayetteville, I remember I was there for about 5 to 6 months. And then my brother, older brother, he opened a restaurant there in Somerset, Kentucky. So after they opened it, he invited me to come over. Because back then, I already, in 5 months, I already moved up to the front, to the room, to the dining area. So I was cleaning tables, and I was, of course, helping running the cash register. My mom got sick. She got a kidney problem. She got into the hospital, and she got an infection. And so she has to be on an induced coma for about 40 days. She was so sick. So everybody went back to Mexico, all of us. I was there for a week. Somebody had to take care of the business, so I'm coming back. So I wasn't, I was cleaning tables, but I was already running the restaurant because nobody else was there. So there is some people that wasn't helping me. When we need something, we had the help from the translator or interpreter to help us to do what we have to do. So that was, nobody expected, but I was already running the restaurant in 5 months. Not knowing the language, but the basics were there, you know, that everything was running, so that helped. Would I do it if I had to start? No. If you have to start from zero, no, you won't do it. But I was running it, and then my brother invited me to work in Somerset once, and my mom got better, and my other brother came back. He took over the restaurant, and I came to Somerset for about 4 months. So all this time, the money that we were putting together, we were saving it, and then we opened a restaurant in Middletown, Ohio, downtown. And it used to be a Chinese restaurant, and we were trying to get a building that was already a restaurant before. That way you don't have to come up with all those expenses, and food and drain and all these things that has to be adapted for a restaurant. So when we were there, first of all, we had to clean it, and then we have to clean it, and then we have to clean it because it was so, I mean, it was so bad. And when I say we, it was me, myself, and Armando, because I was myself there. And I sleep in there, and you know, it was February and March, cleaning all this time, and while I was there, I mean, nobody else but myself. I mean, you have to work hard. I mean, I know nobody was supervising me, but I know I had to do it because we have to come up. We don't have to pay rent. We opened the restaurant, and it didn't work, and we ended up closing it about 6 weeks later because I mean, it just didn't work. Later, we find out that the previous restaurant, which was Chinese, it didn't have a very good reputation, and it went down. And I mean, based on the cleaning that we did. I mean, we find out why. But when you're hungry for something, you go for it, no matter what it is. You know, that's the thing. Sadly or not, but you have a lot of times to succeed on it. You know, you have a lot of chances to succeed. This case didn't work, and a few days before we shut it down, my brother found out that another guy that he worked with was trying to open a restaurant here in Owensboro, and which they got together, they work together, so they speak, they talk to each other, and he said, well, I have a brother that he can help you manage the restaurant, and they agreed, and I came over, and we looked at the place, used to be Paco's, I don't know if you remember, and then we took over and became La Fiesta. Next to them is the old building, where Dennis is, but before they tore it down. So that was back in 1996. We took over. We did a little bit of remodeling. We lost a lot of money up in the. It cost us about $25,000 back then to open the restaurant up in Middletown. We could not get anything out because we were under contract. So the guy said, well, if you want to work out, you have to leave everything here. Well, that's what we did. So all we have to do is just throw just perishable food and stuff like that away. But we could not take anything out. So we moved over, went over here, we opened the restaurant, and it did decent. Connie, she was our salesperson back then. It was decent, and then it slowed down a little bit, which gave me the opportunity to keep moving forward because I didn't have to be tied up to the restaurant as much, and we started looking for new towns, new places where we can open more restaurants, and we look forward up north, and then we open a restaurant pretty much all over Indiana. Myself, I work in the opening of 22 restaurants up in Indiana. And pretty much anywhere, Washington, Vincent, Franklin, Terre Haute, Anderson, Wabash, North Manchester, North Manchester, Winchester, Boston, Decatur, Fort Wayne, Auburn, I mean, Thomasville, Richmond. So we opened a lot of restaurants, and then we didn't want to try Ohio anymore because of our failure. And my sister and her husband, they opened a restaurant up in Toledo because they live there. So anyway, at this point, my family operates 45 restaurants. We are very blessed, and I cannot thank enough to God for the opportunity for being here. And again, you know, I came for about 18 months, and I'm still here. Back then, I sold the shares of my restaurant to my brother. I kept the one. But there was only one restaurant here in Owensboro before we opened the second one. And we exchanged shares. He paid me for some, but basically, I was done one day because I was traveling every week. I leave Owensboro around Monday about 10 o'clock, right after I made the deposit. I went up north to work and clean and open and decorate, paint and fix and whatever it takes, and it was something that we can do because there's stuff that you can do. You know, you don't have to, you can touch the electricity, you can touch the plumbing, but everything else, I mean, you can do it, you have to do it. Why? Because we were trying to just save the money. We don't have that much money, but the earnings or the profit from one business allows us to open one more. Whatever, we have two businesses giving you a profit, then you open one more, and then one more, and then one more. And not every restaurant did good. We shut down, we lost several, but it's part of the business. But I would say 85% of all of them is still open or relocated, but still there. So there is a lot of chances for you to succeed with hard work good people, and of course, you know, the part of the business, it requires four pieces. You have to, any kind of, but mainly on the restaurant business, you have to have a good service, excellent service. You have to offer good food, you know. Good food includes value, which is a good portion, you know. You need to have, definitely, you need to offer a nice atmosphere, you know, on it, because, I mean, that way you don't have to, I mean, you cannot go under a tree and kill a cat and just eat Mexican food, you know. So you have to offer nice atmosphere. And of course, service, value, which is portions, atmosphere, and the taste. You have to have a good food. And we believe we offer all of them. And we try to please everyone. We try to fulfill our policy of, you know, provide the best what we have. We don't sacrifice on our business. We don't sacrifice quality for price. We try to get the best product to the table I mean, we want the best quality for the best price, but we are not going to sacrifice quality for price. That's part of the business, and we don't want to cut corners when there is nothing to cut. I mean, on the circle you cannot go wrong on it. So you just have to go around and look for new ways to keep going and going and going. So anyway, that's pretty much what we've been here all this time, and it takes a lot of work. Mainly on the restaurant business is full with capital letters, time job. It requires all your time. There is always something to fix, something to do, to repair, to service, I mean, there is always something to do on the restaurant business. But I mean, it's worth it. It's worth it. I enjoy talking and knowing people. I'm bad with names, but I know a lot of people, and we are so blessed. I will tell you that 98% of our customers, they are loyal customers, which is the base for our business. Any kind of business, you want to have loyal customers, repetitive customers. There is actually, I could say that we know what customers are expecting every day, or what days of the week. We have customers that there's Monday customers. We have customers that we have, 7 times a week, and which eventually, you know, they give them a break and they start coming back, and that's part of the business. And we always try our best to please everyone, to provide the best to everyone. With the, you know, we want to put everything in front of our customers. That way we keep being here. If not, we might well shut the door and do something else. But that's part of how we are here, and why we are here. You mentioned a while ago that 50% of the business open is for immigrants. We try to offer with a background. We try to offer a new choice or something different for a lot of people to try. Back then there was no other restaurant but one on Toribio, back on 60s. So we decided to open a restaurant right here with whatever was available. I was on the other side. And every time we try to open a restaurant, we always look for places, and they don't have a Mexican restaurant, or try to open in a different place, on a city, where a place where there is nothing, where we can offer our services and our food. So, once that we did that, well, it's just a matter to we get involved. All our family members are involved on the business, running it, or supervising. But that's the only way you can do. You have to be over. You have to watch. I mean, I don't see any other way for you to succeed in any other business or challenge that you take. If you don't involve yourself, most likely, it's going to fail. You have to involve yourself as much as you can. And because there is no other way you can succeed. I mean, you can just start the car and leave it in there running. I mean, eventually it's gonna need gasoline. You have to go over there to the gas station and fill it up and put fuels and fluids and all that. So anyway, once say so, I also want to share with you how the food culture in Mexico is growing up and the difference with the United States. In Mexico, most of the food is what we call the street food. We call the vitamin T, because it's taco, tostada, tamale, everything, torta, everything will start with the T. So everything you find there on the streets. Of course, there is formal restaurants, but for some reason, some of you might be familiar with it or might hear about it. But there is always a taco stand on every corner. If it's not a taco stand, it's a torta stand or tamale stand, everything with a tea. So anyway, that's more like an informal business, but it's where the people get involved with it. Of course, we have restaurants, formal restaurants, mainly in larger cities, and influence of American chain restaurants moving into Mexico. It also changed the scenario for a lot of business. Back then, I mean, you could sell hamburgers and hot dogs on the street, but now we have McDonald's across the street. What you have to do, well, you have to get your own place and update it and try to be competitive. And it's hard to compete against McDonald's, Burger King. But then, there is not over there is not a Hardee's, but it's Carl's Jr. And they go by different names. We have Arby's and all those chains. We have them there in the big cities. Steakhouse, Outback, Texas, Rose House, Olive Garden. So we have pretty much nowadays we have every restaurant that you see here, big chain. We have in Mexico, and it's diversifying, So you have more choices. And I mean, the taco stands and all these places, they still booming. They still good, But nowadays you have more choices. You don't have just to look around and you see one place. You look around to one side and you see 3 or 4 options, three or four places that offer food for you. So that's part of it. Here in the United States, it works a little bit the same way, but with a little bit of difference, because you look around and you see a business and they offer the hamburgers, and next to it another hamburger place, and next to it another hamburger place. So it works pretty much the same way, but it's a proof formula that it works. So because you're in an area where there's a lot of traffic, you have a lot of parking, I mean, why not, Because nowadays, you don't want to, if you have to walk more than 50 yards, maybe I find something else. Why bring my lunch from home? Really, I mean, it's unfortunate. But if they don't have a drive-through, no, I don't want to get out. I mean, it's 20 degrees outside, and I don't blame them, but at 45 degrees, I mean, I love it. I would like to walk. And it's just the way it is. And I mean, it's not brainy that you open a restaurant and you have to offer everything. You have, you specialize in hamburgers, you do hamburgers. The lamb can, and you put fish. And then somebody's offering fish, wraps, then you put fish. And then somebody offer shrimp something, and then do a chicken. So they do it just to try it out. And it's part of the business, you know, if somebody is succeeding, why not to try it? You know, Chick-fil-A does only those in chicken. I don't think they're gonna do with the cows, they're advertising. But it's the way it works. If you have a proven formula, you know, proven formula, as well, stick with it. Just update it. You have to keep going, and you have to update and keep to the moment. You know, it moves every day, so you have to be aware of it. I was talking to Jim the other day, and I was telling him that how hard it was for me to adapt from being in Mexico to being here in the United States, and it wasn't really hard for me, other than the language, the barrier, and the English. But because before that, when I moved from my hometown to Guadalajara, I mean, I was living by myself, well, with another roommate, but you know, away from my family, the one I grew up with, and it wasn't hard for me because I mean, I knew I was 2 hours away from home. If I need something, I could just take the bus, or by then, if I have a car, I could drive. So it wasn't hard, other than the language, because I already was living by myself for a while. So it wasn't very difficult. But still, it has several challenges, because you have to. When you live by yourself, remember you have to turn the light off, and you have to turn it off by yourself. Not like from home, you know, you turn it on, you wait until somebody comes and turn it off, or this could be mom or dad. But over here now, you know, you have to put the bed closer to the light switch. That way you don't have to get up. So, I mean, it is part of it. And all these transport itself to any kind of business. You know, you come in the morning, you open the door, and you try to turn on as few lights as possible. Nobody's there yet. I mean, until everybody's getting ready to work and everything is ready to go. Why? Because you have to save. And the savings, that doesn't mean that you have to be cheap. And savings, you have to be efficient. You know, it's not just me. It's next door and next door and next door. When we want to have those 90 plus degrees days, 100 degrees days. So everybody's running the air conditioning, and everybody has every light on, and you know, just to have a nice. I mean, you have to be conscious of that everybody needs it. You know, we don't want to have those California shutdowns when everybody's using and pulling all the power. I mean, you have to be aware that everybody needs it. I mean, and it helps in your own wallet. You know, I mean, if you don't need it, why have it? It's the same. It's the same thing. And it's part of the American culture. I would say that a lot of times it doesn't fit on my mind, and it's hard to swallow. It's hard to understand. Over here, I mean, it's not a subject, but we have a lot things that we have to be more conservative. You know, we have it. Let's keep it. Let's say it. So on every way, on every way. So anyway, as I told you, the idea of opening a restaurant, it was like that. We have a restaurant back here on the Frederica Street location, and then we moved to the Southtown location 10 years ago. We opened on May the 1st of 2003. And it helped us a few years later. We opened the other one on Highway 54. And we relocate behind it was AutoZone, and then we relocate to where we are right now. And every time that we open a new restaurant, we decide to come up with what we have to offer you. Again, nice atmosphere, still offering the good service, good food, you know, and the fair prices. And it's hard right now. Nowadays, it's hard to keep the same prices, and we're still doing it. Prices, food is still going up, and we stick with it because you cannot just. For me, I would like to do it, but it's hard just to come up with new price and go hike the price and jump. So you eat the profit a little bit, but eventually hoping hoping for the market comes down a little bit and level prices. Because usually it doesn't happen, you know. If the tomato goes up, everybody, you sell canned tomatoes, you raise the price of your canned tomatoes. The tomato goes down, you never lower the price of your canned tomatoes. So we are hoping for the market to come down a little bit and you know, and see, I mean, maybe get better, right? But the menu, our menu is huge. We've been taking a lot of dishes out of menu, but we offer over 100 items on the menu. And some of them repeat themselves, like 6 or 7 options from lunch to the dinner. But other than that, we offer over 100 items. We try to come up with new items, try to adapt to the market. We end up coming up with about 7 to 8 items back about 5 years ago, in our own design and our own idea. And then now, I mean, every other restaurant here in town operates, which is good. That means that it works. That means that somebody has tried it in a restaurant, they try to get it somewhere else. So it works. I mean, that's good. It makes me feel good. I don't want to be greedy, and that means that, I mean, it's a good sign. It's a good sign. So you have to come up and be innovative, come with innovations, and you have to come up with new ideas if you want to keep the business running. So, you know, it's part of it. We are surrounded by great staff. If you don't have good staff on your business, wherever you are, I mean, it's not going to move much, you know. And we do the same thing at home. We do the same thing at work. If you are working with somebody else, it's not keeping the same pace with you. I mean, it's hard. It's hard because, I mean, you come up and you want to give everything, and you want to keep the things moving, and you look around and you see somebody laying or not doing the same thing. It's not working. But if you look to the other side, if you see somebody moving faster than you, I mean, you want to keep up and you want to do the same thing that he's doing, or even better, you know, at least to keep the things going. And this is part of it. On my business, I do everything. Like yesterday, I was cooking. One guy showed up and he got his finger, so we sent him home, so I have to be on the kitchen. The week before, I was washing dishes. Not a big problem. Every day I wash, I clean tables, I broom the floor, I wait, I run the cash register. I mean, whatever is necessary to be, I have to be there. And somebody's got to do it. I mean, and if you can do it, if you can do it even better than everybody else, why not? You know. And I try to teach by example. I don't want to be seated behind the desk or behind a table and just sitting in there for the guys to run the business. I mean, I have a problem when I'm sitting in a restaurant and I hear the door. I mean, my head is already doing this because I don't want to see the people waiting. We believe that you come to a restaurant to eat. You don't come to wait. Okay? And if you want to stay there after you eat, I mean, that's fine. But a lot of places you go to a restaurant and what is the waiting time? 1 hour, 1 hour and 30 minutes. Yeah. On a restaurant, we have an average of 35 or 40 minute turnaround table. So in 40 minutes, you come out, you get seat, you eat, you pay, and the table is ready for the next customer to come in, to be seated. That's part of, I believe, it's part of our success. Because you think about fast, you want to go and eat. Probably a lot of you all think that you go to a restaurant, to a hacienda, you expecting, I mean, you are not saying 40 minutes I'm out, but you expecting to have a fast service, everything, the way it has to be. And when I'm there, I told the guys, you know, I want you to do as fast as possible, but I want you to do it the best that you can. And then, do it fast. Okay? So, and everybody, that's what I say, everybody moves. because it's contagious, you know. Again, you see, you look around and everybody's moving. I mean, everybody's moving. You have to keep going. And on the truck, you don't have 6 wheels going 90 miles per hour, the other one 60. I mean, everybody has to go 60, 90. So it's the way it works. So anyway, that's part of it. You have to be involved on everything. On my case, I do everything. Everything. I mean, again, whatever is necessary, right? So I mean, whatever is necessary. I mean, a lot of times I'm not in there because I do a lot. I'm in the dining area, but I'm doing paperwork. But I try to spend as much time as possible for the business. And now I have the restaurant is doing good. I have good health, and it gives me also a lot of time to spend with my family. That's the other part of it, you know. In the beginning, and that's one of the reasons why I sold the restaurants up in Indiana, in Ohio, because I was struggling a little bit myself, getting tired of it. I used to come home around 4 o'clock every Saturday night, and I work on Sundays because the manager works on Sundays. So I got here. I didn't see my kids growing. One day, my daughter was 3 years old, and I talked to her. You know, I always see her sleeping, or she saw me sleeping. So it was very, very, very few interaction. And I tried to call her and come to me, and she gave me this weird look at me. You know, like I don't know who you are. I mean, she didn't came to me, and then the coin fell. You know, and I said, well, what am I doing? I was traveling, opening a restaurant, thinking and having a $1 on my pocket, and I'm telling you right now, it's on my case. I find out a few years later that it's not worth. I'd rather to have my family and just a penny on my pocket than have $1 and not my family on my case. And eventually it worked out like this for everyone, because I just didn't see it, and it wasn't working for me anymore. During this process, well, I was thinking, when that happened, it took me about a year to solve the restaurant. And all this time I was thinking over and over and over and over and over what happened to my daughter. I'm losing my family for $1. I said, but it was so much to let go just like that. So it took me a while, about a year, and I sold it to my brother, and I decided to stay here. And since then I've been the happiest man on earth, because I mean, I have my family, and I have a place where I can go to eat every day, and go to work at the same place. I mean, I can't get any better. So, and I have my family next to me, and it's a big blessing, you know. We always believe that, again, going back to the Mexico's tradition, that I mean, you have to keep your family next to you. After all, it's all you have, and money goes, come and goes, but the ones that you should stick with you and you stick to it is the family. So you go on with it. They support you, and hey, can't get any better than that. So.
I'm guessing that there's quite a few questions that
Sure.
people would like to ask you.
Yes.
I think it's a good time to take some of those. So anyone
Yes.
has questions? Any sort of time for our speaker? Surely someone. Yeah.
Yes.
You talked about on occasion some businesses don't work. How did you learn to adjust to that, or was that difficult, knowing that you're not always going to succeed? But are there lessons that you learned about failure, or what you learned from that? Or?
Yes. We learned that by our experience. On a restaurant business, you have to be on a place where the people see you. You know, you have to be visible for everyone. Right? I mean, you cannot just be behind building and start selling tacos. I mean, there is no way. You have to be visible. People have to come up. You have to adjust to everything. Of course, you have to be ready for failure. That's, I mean, when you open a business, when you start a business, and you're not ready for failure, I mean, must go out and don't start it. Think about success, but you have to be ready for failure. How this works, it's just a matter that we supposed to be ready at the time we open the doors, you have to be ready for everything. You cannot open the doors, and be out of chips, right? It happened before, like we might run out of syrup for some soft drinks, but we have iced tea, we have water. Or back then, I remember one day I had to go out to Walmart and buy all this. We were serving a canned soda because I think they were working on the water section in there, and then we realized that the dishwashing machine wasn't working, so you had to shut down the restaurant. I mean, there wasn't enough health issues to keep it running, So, I mean, it's part of it. You have to work on it. You have to adjust, but you have to be ready for everything. I mean, you have to be there. You can just to tell somebody, but yes.
In your experience, is it best to rent your property or to purchase it for you open your restaurant?
On my own case, it was better to own it because we knew the restaurant has been doing well. We've been very blessed. It's been steady. So why be paying a rent when you can own your own property? But in a lot of cases, a lot of places, you better start renting, and if it doesn't work, you already have just a contract, and then you go over,
I've got a question, but before I ask my question, I'm going to brag on this man beyond what he can stand. So I know he's humble, and he doesn't want me to say this. But our community is so blessed to have him here.
Amen.
Let me give you an example. When Ken Bosley had a fire at Moonlight, and they had to shut off the electricity, and he stood to lose thousands of dollars because he didn't have a way to keep his coolers running. This man shows up with the generators to keep his coolers running. And I'll bring it down to the family level. When my little 8-, 9-year-old boy didn't want to go to a Mexican restaurant because he didn't like Mexican food, this guy got on his knee and looked my son in the eye and said, "What do you like?" And went to the kitchen and prepared a dish that my son loved. And now he's 17, and he still loves Mexican food. Which is a good thing, because his mama has withdrawals if we don't get it every week. So I want to ask you 2 questions. Who instilled in you your values and your work ethic? And how can we reproduce what you teach your employees?
Well, who did it? I mean, my parents. We in Mexico, you start working since the day you realize you can do something, you start helping your household, My parents, back then, I was 13 years old, and I was traveling with a driver from my hometown to Mexico City, about 8 hours away. We buy and sell pigs back then. So we unload the pigs, we keep them on a place, and I have to be there watching them until the guy comes and buy them. The day he paid me, I was 13 years old, and he was giving me the money for the whole truckload. The driver was already gone because he has to go over there and come bring another one. I'm talking about worth maybe $25,000 on my pocket. So you have to be watching it. So when they told me, I mean, you put on a corral, I mean, don't let nobody take them out until they come and weigh them, and they pay your money, and then you're gone. So I mean, you have to be there looking at the door, and nobody touching you. So you learn, So, I mean, 13 years old, if you do this, I mean, social service.